Friday night in Charlotte wasn't supposed to be a turning point. Preseason football is meant to be a quiet rehearsal coach's experiment. Veterans rest. Rookies get a sprinkle of snaps to prove they can hang. But for Shedeur Sanders, weak. One against the Carolina Panthers is no mere tune-up. It's an audition under the merciless glare of primetime lights, proving ground that could redefine his future before the regular season even begins. On paper, the opportunity looks straightforward. Injuries to Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel, paired with Joe Flacco's absence, cracked the door open for Sanders to step in. But beneath that surface lies a harsher truth. This feels less like a golden opportunity and more like a pressure cooker, a trial designed to expose. Through all of training camp, Shedeur has been buried at the bottom of the depth chart. He's forced to throw to practice squad receivers and, in some early drills, even equipment staff. No chemistry with starters, no live reps with the first-team offense, and now, out of nowhere, the Browns are shoving him into a national broadcast against a defense with no mercy. While critics circle like vultures, waiting to feast on the first mistake, the stakes are heavier because of who he is. The son of Deion Sanders, a name that sparks headlines before a pass is even thrown. To some in the league, Shedeur is a future franchise quarterback in the making. To others, he's a storyline they'd love to see unravel, a chance to knock down both father and son in one night. This isn't just about filling in for a game. This is about proving he can run an NFL offense, create chemistry with playmakers he barely knows, survive under a relentless rush, balance aggression with discipline, and lead like a man who belongs. In this league, all in the span of 4 quarters. From the very first snap, Sanders will need to establish command of the offense, not just by delivering crisp passes, but by radiating authority, the kind that makes linemen trust his calls, receivers trust his reads, and coaches see him as more than a backup. This is about tempo control, adjusting protections before the rush comes, calming the huddle when things go wrong, and making sure the ball is snapped with purpose, not hesitation. The Browns may have kept him on the margins all summer, but if he looks like the offense belongs to him, that changes the entire conversation. Then there's the matter of chemistry, or rather, the lack of it. In camp, he's been throwing to players who may never set foot in a regular season game. Timing routes, trust throws, red zone fades, all of it practiced with guys who likely won't be there when it matters. Yet on Friday, he'll be expected to connect instantly with the Browns' real playmakers. It's an impossible test on paper, but if he hits those windows early, his ball placement tells his receivers they can trust him. Weeks of separation from the starters could vanish in one night, and with that, so would the excuses about him needing more reps. Of course, Carolina's defense isn't showing up to help him write a feel-good story. They'll smell blood and attack him with disguised blitzes, lightning-quick edge rushers, and coverage shells that shift in the blink of an eye. For Shedeur, this isn't just about surviving pressure. It's about turning it into a weapon. Recognizing the blitz before the snap. Hitting the hot route the second the ball leaves the center's hands. Using the screen game to punish over-aggression. Even knowing when to live for another down with a smart throwaway. And if he can sprinkle in some escapability, rolling out extending plays, keeping eyes downfield, he forces the Panthers to respect both the pass and the threat of the scramble. But perhaps the most dangerous trap for a young quarterback is overcompensating. Shedeur built his name at Colorado on taking shots, threading impossible passes into tight windows, playing with a gunslinger's fearlessness. The NFL, though, is a different beast. Against Carolina, the challenge will be threading that razor's edge between aggression and recklessness. The Panthers will bait him, disguise coverages, and hope his confidence turns into a gift. Interception. Staying patient, hitting the check down when it's smart, and striking deep only when the matchup is there will show he's not just talented, he's NFL disciplined. Avoiding turnovers while still moving the ball is the kind of quiet maturity that earns long-term trust. And then there's the intangible that matters most: leadership. It's hard to lead when you've been treated like an outsider all camp, kept away from the core of the offense, left to work on the fringes. But leadership isn't something you're handed in this league. You take it. If on Friday night, he can keep his composure, lift the players around him, carry himself like the man in charge, even when the scoreboard isn't kind. That will speak louder than any stat line. Teammates remember who steadied the ship when the storm hit. 4. Shedeur Sanders. This game is bigger than a preseason debut. It's a referendum on every narrative that's trailed him since draft night. Can he command an offense? Can he bond instantly with starters he barely knows? Can he not only withstand but master the pressure? Can he balance his natural gunslinger instinct with smart decision-making? And can he lead in a way that makes veterans believe? If he answers yes to all of those, the Browns' quarterback depth chart won't just be a hierarchy, it'll be a problem. One the organization never planned on having, because if he walks off that field Friday night, having silenced the critics and won over the room, Cleveland won't be talking about how to hide him on the bench anymore. They'll be talking about how to keep him in the game. And that's the kind of problem that could change everything. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into the stories shaping the NFL, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe and let us know in the comments, do you think Shedeur Sanders has what it takes to turn this one shot into a permanent role?